Hey everybody, welcome back to another Micro Reflections for the 21st Sensory, and that's sensory with an Sensory. And why sensory? Well, it is a sensory overload these days in this modern world with the digital onslaught of media, and that's social media, and that's mass media, and that is all the things that we are dealing with as a collective human culture right now. And it can be very, very overwhelming. So these micro reflections are just meant to shift your daily perspective on worldviews, your internal environment, how your external environment is a direct reflection of your internal environment, and just really be able to provide a little bit of balance in this tipsy-topsy world that we are teeter-tottering on, which seems like a new crisis peeks out behind the veil at us almost on the daily. So remember to show up with radical acceptance of the way the world is, the way other people, places, and things are, and just always do your best. And this is week 11, passage 32, Take What You Need and Leave the Rest. And that title right there really kind of can sum up all of these readings, the whole book. Not just what I am reading to y'all, but also anything, any media, any news, any articles, any advice, right? Any suggestions, is to always remember, take what you need and leave the rest. How many times have we or someone else we know thought that meditation was something other people did? I know I was one of those people at one point before I sat down and listened. Until we sit down, shut up and listen and do it ourselves. We are those other people. The mind's eye has this pre-programmed resistance to the unknown. Instead of asking how the experts do it yourself. Ask how to make it work for you in your life. It's like asking someone what skydiving is like or what a psychedelic experience is like. You're basing your worldview on someone else's experience without giving yourself permission to dive into your own. All of the advice in the world, all the stories of other people's experiences will not help if they cannot be woven into the fabric of our own lives and applied to our individual worldviews. Rationalizing, studying, interpreting memes will do us no good until we apply these teachings into our own lives with consistency in a level of frequency that meets our needs. Faith without action does not shift gears into the journey of humanness. Try and apply, experiment, document, create, adjust, engage, and filter. As we start getting further down the path, beautiful new discoveries present themselves. Of course they do. This is what happens when the barricade of resistance is shattered. In the concluding quote for this passage, the path comes into existence only when we observe it. And that is Werner Heisenberg. Had a lot of a great philosopher as well as like a quantum physicist. And the path comes into existence only when we observe it, right? Like, what are the three things for a rainbow to exist? There was a lot of rainbows this last week here in North Lake Tahoe, and a beautiful one last night over the lake where I live. And my friend's son, Ryder, was just out here visiting, mountain biking. He's 13 years old, and he saw this rainbow. And like, talk about childlike curiosity and childlike wonder. You know, he's like his mind is always asking questions like, why? Why is this? Oh, check this out. How do you do that? How do you do this? And he looked at the rainbow and he's like, man, wouldn't it be cool to have a profession of being a rainbow hunter? That actually made me think, how cool would that be to be a rainbow hunter? You know, is there a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow or the beginning of the rainbow? Where does the rainbow begin? Where does it end? It actually only begins when there is sun, some water in the air, and a conscious observer observing it. Those are the three things you need for a rainbow to exist. Okay? And it ends when we look away. Pretty simple in theory. Or if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? It actually doesn't make a sound. It makes a lot of energetic vibration. It needs to make a sound with a conscious observer there, listening to it. So, again, take what you need. Leave the rest. And as always in these readings, these are me just riffing on them, even though I wrote these words during the time of COVID and the weird new world of COVID when we had that stay at home and quarantine, which I just was like, oh, that's just isolating. Okay, so you're going to get a bunch of people to isolate at home. So what are we going to do with that time of isolation? Are we going to isolate, or can we get introspective? And there's a lot of deep reflections and introspections and microdosing along that journey. And these are just my own observations as a conscious observer of the world at that time, and again, the world at this time. So try and apply, experiment, document, create, adjust, engage, and filter. You know, that engage and filter is we're constantly taking in stimulus, external stimuli in the form of technology, people, places, and things, and it can get extremely overwhelming. So make sure to sit down, shut up, and listen, okay, in the form of meditation or quiet reflection while you're microdosing, and engage and filter those things. Like you don't need to hold on to every little bit of information that comes at you all day long. And when we get further down the path, beautiful new discoveries present themselves. Of course they do. So what I mean by that is the further we get down the path of being a conscious observer of our own lives, right, or an observer of the things that are occurring out there, right, question all of that, right? The Henry David Thoreau quote that I often reference is, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Okay, so look under the hood, right? Don't look at things on the surface and take it for what it is, right? Dig a little bit deeper. And that includes yourself, right? Beautiful new discoveries present themselves when you continuously get down the path of your own conscious observation of your life. And of course, microdosing can help us with that as it opens up neuroplasticity in our minds and gets us out of those ruts that we may have created for ourselves. And this is what happens when the barricade of resistance is shattered, right? It's easy to resist new perspectives, right? It's easy to resist a new way of living, or a new way to go about solving a problem, or a new way of just interpreting a situation. And I'll give you a great example. I was just at one of my 12-step meetings, actually, and Bill in there, my buddy Bill, we were talking, and he asked me about my house, if I still live there. I said, yeah, I bought it, 2 years ago. And I was like, there's just so much to do. I got to paint. I'm doing some remodeling on the floors. I'm doing some landscaping outside. I got all these things going on. And he said, how about you say, I get to do these things, right? As a gift, I get to explore my internal environment. I get to go inside and kind of be like my own miner and detective and get introspective with the things that are maybe buried, right? I get to excavate these maybe they're traumas, maybe they're attachments or resentments or buried psychological wounds, right? So this is what happens when we continuously get further down the path of our journey, right? And we're always going to come up against obstacles. And in this book, there's a Zen proverb. There are no obstacles in the path. The obstacles are the path. So, again, this is what happens when the barricade of resistance is shattered, okay? And how do we shatter that? Well, we show up unconditionally in an unconditional universe. We practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty, and we just do it, right? We do the next right thing, and sometimes the next right thing is just right in front of us at all times, and that is how we shatter any resistance. And microdosing, as I analogize it to y'all, is it's a gentle rake. It's just raking away at the vestiges of our ego, right? Where like a macrodose is blowing it wide open, okay? But that gentle rake, it's just raking away. Close your eyes like what I'm doing, and even think about that. It's just like raking away. You ever seen a bird, on a patch of grass or soil or a chicken, right? It's just scraping away. What's it doing? It's scraping away the proverbial bedrock to find some seeds or some worms or some insects to, nourish itself with. And we can do that too, right? If we set that intention. Okay, the framework for microdosing is intention plus introspection multiplied by frequency plus consistency. And intention we have is just energy, right? Energy put forth to receive the perceptions and that perceptual awareness that we get when we go introspective. And if we do that frequently, inconsistently over a long period of time, 90 days is the suggested time frame, we begin to chisel away at the psychological bedrock that has been compounded over many, many years of our life. And this isn't just something other people did. This is something that you do, okay? And until we sit down and do it and adopt that style of framework of just slowing down to speed up, we are those other people, okay? And the mind's eye has this, this pre-programmed or conditioned, right? Another word that we hear is like conditioned resistance to the unknown. So we resist the unknown because it's not familiar. What's the opposite of unknown? Familiar. But leaping into the unknown with courage blasts through the fear, right? Having courage doesn't mean an absence of fear. Having courage is the antidote to fear, okay? And instead of asking how the experts do it yourself, okay? 1% theory, 99% practice. I could sit here and talk your ears off about how to microdose, how to meditate, how to journal, how to do everything, what Burning Man is like, what a psychedelic experience is like, what climbing to the top of a mountain is like. You're not going to know it until you do it yourself. Just like I know nature, okay, nature being one of the 7 pillars here at Medicine Box, that is the evolving medium that like weaves all this together, okay. I know nature pretty well, right? I have a very, very keen connection to nature, to the sky, to the trees, to the birds, the bees, the eagles and the ospreys, as I say. But explaining nature to you, I have a hard time doing that. But I know nature. Just like you know nature, but explaining it to me might be a little bit challenging. Okay, so ask how to make it work for you in your life. Okay, there's no right way or wrong way. Just a lot of different ways with all of this stuff, everybody. And I'll finish off here by the overreactive. Our minds have been very pre-programmed, and they have this overdeveloped reactive mind, right? And a very underdeveloped receptive mind. Okay, receptive meaning responding respond, right? That engage and filter instead of like reacting to the experiments, the documents, the all of or the not the experiments, the onslaught of media is what I meant to say, and try and apply, experiment, document, create, adjust, like all the stuff that's coming at us, instead of reacting to it and responding to it. And the less we are reactive, the more we are cultivating more of a receptive mind. So this overdeveloped reactive mind. And when I say mind, I mean like the unified mind of our Western civilization. Okay, very undeveloped receptive mind. So this all helps us to be able to receive the information that is coming at us in the field of awareness. And the tagline that we have here at Mind's Eye, the product, is self-awareness achieved. Without self-awareness, or tapping into that field of awareness with intent, right, with the energy behind the intent, with the introspection and frequency and consistency, we're just being there, reacting to our environment, reacting to the people, places, and things, reacting to our checklist, reacting to the things that we need to do, right? The boardroom meeting in our minds that has started and we are running late to. So that's that rationalizing, studying, interpreting memes, or endless Googling for hours. It does us no good. That's just keeping us in that reactive state until we apply the teachings into our own lives with consistency and level of frequency. And I say that meets our needs, because there is no right way or wrong way about this. There's a lot of different ways. So find what works best for you. And as always, in 17 minutes here, take what you need and leave the rest. I hope these mean something to y'all. Make your own meaning out of them. And I appreciate anyone that has listened to my interpretations, right? And it's really like a set and setting that I bring. You've heard the term set and setting in, psychedelic space, but set and setting is just what's going on in my internal, environment, and the setting of the proverbial table here, and how that's being interpreted in the present moment. So I do applaud you all for showing up with courage and clarity and creativity, consciousness, compassion, clear communication with yourself and others. And again, if none of this lands, that is fine too. But always remember, take what you need, leave the rest, and hope to see you as a customer with Mind's Eye and the weekly meetings that we do here. And we drop into a lot of this kind of theory, and then we practice it a lot, and then really offer a lot of tips and tricks around these concepts. So cheers, everybody, and hope you're doing well.